I'm going to take a shower, so take care of this. Rafferty indicates the suitcase with his chin. I nod slightly while holding it. Understood. You should be able to do this much without being told, really. Rafferty snorts and heads to the bathroom. I sigh as I watch him go and slowly lift the suitcase. Then, something falls with a rustle. Huh? What's this? Looking down, there's an envelope at my feet. Curious, I open the envelope. What is this? Inside the envelope are photos and a completed divorce application with Rafferty's name on it. And the enclosed photos show a woman and a child. Maybe this means he wants to leave me because his mistress had a baby. That's right, Rafferty said to take care of it, which means file this divorce application. What a pleasant surprise. It's been a while since I've had one. Rafferty must feel the same way. I need to prepare a return gift. A beautiful revenge in the name of return. I smile and gently slip the envelope into my pocket. My name is Alyssa. I work as a clerk in a metalworking factory. I'm just an office worker in a small-town factory, so neither my salary nor my bonus is that big. But I live in a small provincial town, so life feels relatively easy. Plus, my husband Rafferty is a business owner. That's another reason I don't find life too hard. By the way, Rafferty's company is a consulting firm. It seems to have clients all over the country, so he travels a lot. Perhaps because of that, we don't have children. Both Rafferty and I are 38 years old now. Maybe it's too late for kids. Lately, I've started to think that way. But I'm not planning to divorce. A happy family can be built without children. That's what I believe. However, that doesn't mean I'm not anxious. Recently, Rafferty has become indifferent, and we're missing each other more. It's problematic that he says work is tough, and our living expenses are entirely dependent on my income. But I believe everything will work out as long as I'm with Rafferty. That's how I've been encouraging myself. There's a reason I think this way. It's because I know what Rafferty was like in his student days. I met him when we were high school students. He was the popular guy in class. He had leadership qualities and always took the lead in cultural festivals and sports festivals. If someone made a mistake, he would cover for them. If there was a problem, he would solve it. He was someone everyone relied on. On the other hand, I was a plain and quiet girl. I lived my life trying not to stand out. It was as if that was my life's goal. But meeting him made me want to try something for the first time. So, during a discussion about the cultural festival, I raised my hand and spoke up for the first time. For the cultural festival, our class could do a play. Before I could finish, snickers leaked from around me. Because most of my classmates were planning to run a cafe. The play requires a lot of preparation, doesn't it? Memorizing lines and all, it sounds like a hassle. Amidst such voices, he spoke up to our classmates. Isn't it precisely because it's challenging that it's rewarding? Plus, it'll definitely make for a more memorable experience. His words completely changed the atmosphere. In the end, we did a play for the cultural festival. There's no doubt in my mind that this incident brought us closer. But without anything else happening, we graduated from high school. I got a job at a factory, and he went to university. Years later, we reconnected at a reunion, which led to us dating and eventually getting married. By that time, he had become the president of a consulting firm. Needless to say, everyone envied me. But the reality was not so rosy. His job was demanding, with frequent business trips every month. We barely had any time together at home. Moreover, despite the glamorous title of president, his company was barely making ends meet. I'm thinking about expanding the business, so our income might decrease for a while. Is that okay? The business foundation is stable for now. But if we don't do anything, we'll eventually hit a dead end. If our current clients leave, our income will decrease. Then, our employees might end up lost. As a president, I have a duty to support my employees. Expanding the business is better for increasing our clientele. He said such things. That was soon after we got married. So, even after getting married, I couldn't quit my job. On the contrary, my income was so relied upon that the salary he brought home was minimal. But if we can get through this, everything will work out. Let's trust him and do our best. That's what I thought and kept pushing on. While I was diligently working, I was also handling all the household chores by myself. Of course, with his frequent business trips, there's no time for him to do household chores. Moreover, he looks utterly exhausted on his days off. That's why I couldn't even ask him to help with the chores on his days off. However, managing both work and household duties is quite common among dual-income households nowadays. Indeed, many people are working hard in similar situations, and I can't say that I'm the only one putting in a special effort. Yet, I had another job to do. It was helping his parents. My father-in-law, Ellsworth, owned a small diner. It's an old diner beloved by locals. Perhaps because of its low prices, the profit margin is quite slim. Still, customers keep coming in non-stop. It got so busy that I began helping out with serving and other tasks. Even then, we were short-handed. That's why I offered to help. In other words, on weekdays, I juggled my clerical job and household chores, and on weekends, I helped out at my in-laws' diner from morning. That was the life I continued to lead. It was tough but fulfilling. Plus, his cooking is delicious. I even learned to cook from him during breaks. So, I didn't mind helping out at the diner itself. However, there were times I wanted to rest. Yet, I couldn't tell my in-laws I wanted a break. There was a reason for that. I had put on the facade of eagerly volunteering to help. Alyssa, you're also working as a clerk during the week, right? You don't have to push yourself to help out here. No, I enjoy doing this. That's what I would tell him. But the truth was a bit different. In fact, it was Rafferty who had asked me to help his parents. Needless to say, I initially refused. Working even on weekends is a bit much. I truly feel sorry about it. But I'm worried about my parents. My in-laws had worked almost non-stop at the diner. However, they are over 60 now and their health is declining. Recently, they've been complaining about aches and pains, and Rafferty seemed quite concerned. So, could you go to the diner with the intention of keeping an eye on them? But I work on weekdays, and on weekends, I have to catch up on all the household chores, right? Then, how about we hire a housekeeper for the chores? Doing that would jeopardize our household finances. It would be better to just hire a part-time worker for the diner. After much consideration, I agreed to help. But that decision was a big mistake. I realized that only recently. About half a year ago. I have some work left, so I'll finish that up first. Then I'll get dinner ready. That's always a big help. Thanks. After returning from work, I had such a conversation with Rafferty and, as usual, started preparing dinner. Sometime later, when I went to ask him how he liked the seasoning of the meal, I overheard his voice as I was about to knock on his room. Give it up already, Dad. How long do you plan to keep running that dirty restaurant? I was shocked by Rafferty's words. But what he said next was even more unbelievable. You're barely making any money, right? It's better to just give up. Making any money? That's a lie, right, Rafferty? Stunned, I lowered my hand from knocking. Or what? Are you making a profit thanks to our housekeeper? The moment Rafferty said that, I could hear Ellsworth's voice over the phone. What do you think you're doing with Alyssa? You need to straighten up your act. Even though it was very quiet, for some reason, it reached my ears clearly. Tears suddenly started to overflow, as I came to understand Rafferty's true nature and Ellsworth's kindness. So, Rafferty wasn't concerned about his in-laws at all. He just wanted to keep an eye on them. And to Rafferty, I was just a convenient housekeeper. Anger surged within me along with frustration. I'll definitely get a divorce. I resolved to divorce him. However, suddenly initiating a divorce would be difficult. If I brought it up, it could end up disadvantaging me. First, I need to gather evidence that will be advantageous for the divorce. The recent incident could be testified by Ellsworth. But that alone wouldn't be enough. If only there was something decisive. From that day on, I decided to carefully monitor his actions. Meanwhile, I acted as usual. Pretending to know nothing, I did as he asked. Perhaps that was the right approach, because he didn't notice anything unusual in my behavior. Alyssa, could you prepare a present? I need to buy some baby items. Baby items? Why? Do you remember Jefferson from our wedding? He's one of our employees. It turned out that Jefferson had a new baby. He wanted to prepare a present for him, but was too busy with work to shop for it. He wanted to give it before a business trip this weekend, so he asked me to buy it tomorrow. Understood. Anything specific? Nah, I'll leave it to your sense. You'd know what's needed after childbirth. He smiled. I nodded back with a smile. Thinking it wouldn't be right to involve unrelated people, I decided to obediently follow his instructions. But the next day, after work, an unexpected encounter awaited me at a store I stopped by. It happened when I was about to enter a store that sells baby products, intending to buy a present. Suddenly, I was approached from behind. You're Alyssa, right? Turning around, I saw a man in a suit standing there. He was well-dressed, with the air of a mature adult. I felt I had seen him somewhere before. After thinking for a bit, I realized he was Jefferson. Jefferson, from my husband's company. Yes, that's right. I'm always grateful for your support. No, the pleasure is all mine. Oh, are you buying a souvenir for your wife? I gestured towards the baby products store in front of us. However, he looked puzzled. No, I'm not married. I was perplexed by his response. Rafferty had indeed mentioned that Jefferson had a new baby. Wondering what was going on, I asked Jefferson for details. Then, I found out something completely unexpected. Jefferson had indeed come to buy baby products. But not for his wife. Incredibly, it was for Rafferty. This was certainly a shock. In other words, Jefferson was under the impression that I was pregnant, as he had been informed by Rafferty. Needless to say, I immediately denied it. Jefferson seemed to grow suspicious as well. We decided to move to a different location and discuss the matter in more detail. As a result, Rafferty's lies were exposed one after another. First, it was true that Rafferty's company was expanding its business, but his salary had not decreased. On the contrary, thanks to the business expansion, the salaries of the employees, including Rafferty's, had increased. Moreover, Rafferty's business trips were a lie. While there are business trips, they're not as frequent as he made them out to be. At most once a month. Nowadays, we can handle a lot of things online, and the opportunities to meet clients in person have decreased. Jefferson explained. Meaning, Rafferty lied about going on business trips and was going somewhere else. Moreover, he attempted to acquire baby products by pretending I was pregnant. There's only one conclusion that can be drawn from this. Rafferty is having an affair, and his partner has had a child. Furthermore, it's conceivable that the salary he hasn't been giving me has been going to his mistress. I was so angry I could barely contain myself. In that moment, Jefferson spoke to me kindly. The president has always been prone to affairs. I'll help you gather evidence, and it might be best to divorce him. Naturally, I took up his offer. I immediately began gathering evidence. Jefferson helped me with monitoring Rafferty's actions at the company. At the same time, I hired a professional to conduct a behavior investigation. Also, to ensure Rafferty didn't suspect anything, both Jefferson and I continued purchasing baby products. We pretended we knew nothing and handed them over to Rafferty. So, I'll give this to Jefferson. Also, I'm going on a business trip for the next 2 weeks. Okay. Take care. I saw him off pretending I knew nothing. Then, 2 weeks later, Rafferty came home late at night. Quite drunk. Are you okay? Where did you drink? That's none of your business. Just be quiet and get the meal ready. His tone was unusually harsh. I frowned slightly and sighed quietly. What? You got something to say? Even I want to drink sometimes. I understand. I supported him, who seemed about to fall. However, he pushed my hand away. I'm going to take a shower, so take care of this. He indicates the suitcase with his chin. I nod slightly while holding it. Understood. You should be able to do this much without being told, really. He snorts and heads to the bathroom. I sigh as I watch him go, and slowly lift the suitcase. Then, something falls with a rustle. Huh? What's this? Looking down, there's an envelope at my feet. Wondering what it could be, I open the envelope. What is this? Inside the envelope are photos. A completed divorce application with Rafferty's name on it. And the enclosed photos show a woman and a child. Maybe this means he wants to leave me because his mistress had a baby. That's right, he said to take care of it, which means file this divorce application. What a pleasant surprise, it's been a while since I've had one. Rafferty must feel the same way. I need to prepare a return gift. A beautiful revenge in the name of return. I smile and gently slip the envelope into my pocket. Then, I open the suitcase. But it had already been laundered. I see, a declaration of war, huh? It's strange for the contents of a suitcase to be laundered after a business trip. No housewife would find this normal. There's a woman who does the laundry for him on his business trips. In other words, it's like a declaration of war from the mistress, saying, I've done the laundry for you. Plus, this time, she even included photos. With a divorce application as a bonus. Probably, Rafferty was upset because of this. Pressured by his mistress to divorce. But he doesn't want to let go of me, his conveniently usable housekeeper. They must have had a fight. And in anger, the mistress planted the divorce application and photos. Well, that seems about right. So, I guess I have to take up her challenge. Smirking, I went back to my room. Ideally, I'd file the divorce application right away. But if I'm going to divorce, I'll need a place to move to. And I'd like to say goodbye to my in-laws. It's going to be busy from tomorrow. I spent a sleepless night excited about what was to come. The next morning, when Rafferty woke up, I said to him, Rafferty, my company is really busy right now. So, I'll be coming home late for a while. I see. That's tough, you too. After having that conversation, I left the house with him. But I didn't go to the company. Instead, I turned back home. At the same time, I informed my company that I was resigning. Of course, there was a reason for this. Last night, I had already informed my dad, Alan, that I was getting a divorce. Then, this morning, he had sent me this email. A divorce might cause trouble at your workplace. Quit your job and come back immediately. I'll arrange a place for you to live and find you a new job. You don't have to worry about anything. That's why I decided to resign immediately. And I started preparing to move out at home. And by evening, thanks to the movers arranged by my father, I had completed my move. Afterwards, I filed the divorce application and my father introduced me to a skilled lawyer. Now all that's left is to wait for Rafferty to contact me. Using a network camera, I drink while watching my parents' house from my new place. As I'm enjoying this leisurely time for the first time in a while, my smartphone suddenly starts ringing. It's Rafferty, but I check and ignore it. After repeating this several times, the doorbell at my parents' house rings. After a while, my father and Rafferty appear at the entrance. I watch the proceedings with a smirk. What brings you here at this hour? Well, I can't get in touch with Alyssa. Oh? Isn't she at work? Rafferty turns pale at my father's words and looks down. No, that's just it. There's no luggage at home. All my belongings are gone. And no matter how many times he calls, there's no response. When he contacted my company, they said I had resigned. Rafferty hurriedly explains all this. My father, having listened, asks Rafferty, "Do you have any idea why this might be?" No, I can't think of anything. Rafferty stammers out an answer, wiping the sweat off his forehead. He can't possibly confess to having an affair. As I'm thinking this, my father suddenly raises his voice. You must have some idea, right? Rafferty flinches at his deep voice. Rafferty answers, avoiding eye contact. No, nothing. Don't lie. You were having an affair, weren't you? An affair? Rafferty's gaze started to wander. His reaction all but a confession in itself. Yet, my father didn't relax his questioning. Staring intently at Rafferty, he continued in a firm tone. There's evidence. Do you want to see it, or will you confess on your own? Which is it? I'm sorry. It was just a moment of folly. Please don't tell Alyssa, please. Enough! You have no right or qualification to say such things. Silenced by my father's rebuke, Rafferty went quiet. He, fixing his gaze on a subdued Rafferty, said, Anyway, it seems Alyssa intends to divorce. Wait, please wait. There's no use talking to me about it. If she talks about alimony in the divorce proceedings, agree to it. Understand? Yes. Rafferty replied in a small voice. Naturally, I was laughing out loud in front of the camera. Watching Rafferty walk away dejectedly cleared up my mood a bit. Well, it's not over yet. Muttering to myself, I picked up my smartphone. Needless to say, I called Ellsworth. I informed him about the divorce. So, I've filed the divorce application. That idiot son! What has he done? Ellsworth began to rage over the phone. While calming him down, I made a request. That being said, would you be able to help? Understood. Since my son has caused trouble, I won't hesitate to help. Thus, I secured Ellsworth's cooperation. The following day, during lunchtime, I called Rafferty. I thought he would pick up immediately, but he didn't. What was with that barrage of calls? As soon as he realized I was gone, he bombarded me with calls. Yet, When I try to reach out, he shows no sign of answering. Despite being told last night to discuss alimony for the divorce proceedings. I see. He's preparing for a total war. Annoyed, I quickly changed and headed straight to Rafferty's office in a taxi. As I entered the office, he dashed out from the back room upon noticing me. "What are you doing here, Alyssa?" "Huh? I came to talk about the divorce." "You wouldn't answer your phone." I raised my voice on purpose. Naturally, all eyes in the office were suddenly on us. "Hey, don't raise your voice here. Are you afraid your subordinates will find out about the affair? Or is it because you lied about me being pregnant?" Immediately, the office started buzzing. He had reportedly announced to the office that his wife was pregnant. I heard this from Jefferson. He seemed happy to share the news at a company-wide morning meeting. Essentially, by denying the pregnancy here, I'd be exposing his lie. As he began to receive cold looks from his employees, he took me outside. "Oh? Have you decided to discuss the alimony for the divorce? Let's change the location first." He seemed visibly irritated. He then took me to a nearby cafe. After hastily ordering to dismiss the waiter, he started complaining in a low voice. "What's your intention? You want to disgrace me? If you do something like that, I'll have no standing." "Huh? It's your fault for lying. Why did you lie?" When I asked, he suddenly fell silent. He goes quiet whenever things get inconvenient for him. Anyway, I've filed the divorce application. "What? You filed for divorce? How? Don't tell me you forged it?" His smile widened, thinking he found an opening. But I coolly responded, "Oh? It was in your suitcase, along with the mistress's photo." As I smiled, he was taken aback. Clearly something clicked for him. Then, I made a call to someone, asking them to come to our location. "Who are you calling?" "Someone who will help us with the discussion. They said they'll be here soon, so we'll continue after they arrive." It seemed they had been waiting nearby. The person arrived at the cafe within a few minutes, causing Rafferty's complexion to change dramatically. Eventually, standing before a trembling Rafferty was them. "Rafferty, I hear you've had an affair." "Mom, it's not what it looks like." The one who entered was my mother-in-law, Heavenly, with Ellsworth behind her. This was precisely what I had asked Ellsworth for yesterday. When Rafferty complained, I wanted Heavenly to support me. Rafferty might act all high and mighty with Ellsworth, but he can't do the same with Heavenly. Heavenly is a person of strong moral fiber and seriousness. Rafferty has been often scolded by her since he was little, and it seems he's still afraid of her. Yet, why engage in an affair? It was obvious he would get scolded if found out. It's baffling what he was thinking. While I was pondering this, Rafferty was being scolded by Heavenly right before my eyes. "What in the world were you thinking? I'm telling you, it's not like that." "What's not like that?" "I've heard from Alyssa. I've seen the results of the investigation into your conduct, right?" Bang. Heavenly slammed an envelope on the table. It was the results of Rafferty's conduct investigation that I had handed over. "I've seen it too. The affair is undeniable." "Shut up, Dad!" Rafferty raised his voice at Ellsworth. However, Heavenly immediately intervened. "You're the one who needs to be silent. Before getting angry at us, you should be apologizing to Alyssa. Now, apologize quickly." Heavenly urged Rafferty in a strong tone. Rafferty quickly averted his gaze. In that moment, Heavenly's anger exploded. Grabbing Rafferty by the neck, she made him kneel right there. Yes. Rub your head on the ground and apologize. I'm sorry. What about the alimony for the divorce? I'll pay it. Please forgive me. Rafferty, on the verge of tears, managed to squeeze out his words. I couldn't help but find his plight amusing. After being scolded by Heavenly, Rafferty promised to agree to the alimony payment for the divorce. I mentioned that the lawyer would contact him and left the scene. Walking out of the cafe, I muttered to myself, "Now, it's that woman's turn." I stared intently at the mistress's photo saved on my smartphone. Shortly after, the lawyer contacted me to confirm that I had received the alimony from Rafferty. That settles one phase. I finally felt a sense of relief. But it wasn't over yet. There was one more thing to do. It was time for revenge on the mistress. That revenge was planned for a few days later. I waited for the day with excitement. Before long, several days passed, and the day arrived. I headed to the venue with my heart racing. It was the venue for a business networking event. This time organized by the Chamber of Commerce. After exchanging some casual greetings, I immediately looked for Rafferty. Soon enough, I found him and approached him from behind. "Long time no see, Rafferty." "Oh, Alyssa? Why are you at a business networking event?" It seemed he was surprised, then I handed him my business card. He looked at it intently before exclaiming in surprise, "I've become a business owner in the real estate rental industry. So, let's get along well." "What do you mean?" "Oh, just took over from my father," I answered with a smile. Meanwhile, Rafferty, looking confused, asked back, "But your father is a taxi driver, right? So, I thought." I didn't ask my dad, Alan, for financial support. That's how Rafferty explained it. Indeed, my dad is a taxi driver. However, that's more like a hobby for him. My dad, who liked driving and was in the real estate rental business on the side, worked as a taxi driver. But with Rafferty's affair coming to light, I decided to quit my job. Of course, if the discussions had gone smoothly, it might not have been necessary for me to quit. However, my dad saw it as a good opportunity and offered to hand over his company to me. He even offered to lend me one of his properties as my new home. That's why I decided to take over his work. Of course, there are many challenges. But I didn't just receive his properties. I became the president of his management company. The job mainly involves dealings with the real estate management company that actually manages the properties. Handing over the management of a few small properties that weren't under a management company's care was about all that was left for me to do. It wasn't a big job, so I wasn't particularly busy at the moment. But I'm planning to get serious from now on, so today, I want to talk to various people. That's why I attended a business networking event. Rafferty was taken aback by such talk. Meanwhile, a man approached us. "Long time no see, Rafferty." "Oh, President Oliver. We're always grateful for your support." Rafferty greeted him politely. I smirked beside him. "Oh, did I interrupt something?" No problem at all. Rather." As Rafferty turned his back to me, I pushed past him. Stepping forward, I greeted to the man he called President Oliver. "Nice to meet you, President Oliver. I'm Alyssa, his ex-wife." "Ex-wife?" President Oliver's complexion changed. I continued speaking. "We just got divorced recently. My husband had an affair and fathered a child with another woman." "Stop! Don't say anything more unnecessary." Rafferty tried to silence me. Still, I forcefully told everything. Hearing this, President Oliver placed a hand on Rafferty's shoulder with a strained face. What's this about? Well, that's... Rafferty's mouth opened and closed. He seemed to want to say something, but the words just weren't coming out. Yes. I silently cheered inside. Then, a saccharine voice was heard. Dad. Did you find Mr. Rafferty? Turning towards the voice, there was a flashy woman. She spotted Rafferty and quickly ran over to him. Mr. Rafferty! Found you! The way she said it and hugged Rafferty made me irritable. Rafferty, with a pale face, pushed the woman away. Feeling the atmosphere freeze, I deliberately said, Oh? Isn't that Rafferty's mistress, Tara? Hello there. Huh? Who are you? I'm Rafferty's ex-wife. Ex? She was about to say more, but she covered her mouth. President Oliver then pulled her towards him. Tara, what's this about? What? No, this woman is weird. She pointed at me. Thinking her incredibly rude, I explained the situation to everyone. In fact, Tara and President Oliver were parent and child, and she had introduced Rafferty as her husband. However, Tara and President Oliver weren't living together. But President Oliver frequently visited Tara. And every time he did, Rafferty would also be there, posing as her husband to President Oliver. That was the real nature of his business trips. Realizing this, I divorced him. When I explained this to President Oliver, he turned red with anger. You lied? No, it's not like that. I didn't know. Tara feigned ignorance. That's when I took out the photo from the envelope. Here's a photo of Ms. Tara and her child. And on the back, it says this. I flipped the photo over, and on the back, it read, So, get a divorce quickly, okay? Wife. The moment President Oliver saw the text, he raised his voice. This is your handwriting. You knew, didn't you? That he was married. No. After that, President Oliver started lecturing Rafferty and Tara right then and there. The two, scolded by President Oliver, admitted to colluding and lying. Knowing it was infidelity, I couldn't give up. Tara kept repeating that. On the other hand, Rafferty would repeat, I intended to divorce soon. Then why didn't you agree to the divorce discussions immediately? My single question laid bare Rafferty's lies. From there, it all unraveled. In the end, it was settled that Tara would pay me the alimony for the divorce. She would work under President Oliver to pay it. As for Rafferty's punishment, it was the cessation of their business transactions. President Oliver had immediately proposed stopping the business dealings with Rafferty right there. Of course, many people witnessed this. It was inevitable that it would lead to a loss of credibility. Needless to say, his company went bankrupt shortly after. He is currently helping out at Ellsworth's Diner. Of course, while being scolded by Heavenly. Additionally, his company's clients, apart from those with President Oliver, were taken over by a new company. It turns out that this company was started by his former subordinate who had lost his place. Who's the president of the new company? When I went to thank Jefferson for his help, I casually asked him this. That would be me. So, how about we talk business? Maybe over a meal? I wasn't planning on dating a man right after getting divorced. But I did want to talk to him a bit more. Is this feeling romantic, or just a simple interest in business? I already know the answer. So, I accepted his invitation.